Hello and good morning everybody, and welcome to this ISM webinar. I know you'll get plenty of practical advice from today's session, which you can start applying to your own roles straight away. This webinar, once delivered, will be made available on demand as soon as we finish, so you can watch it as many times as you like and at your own convenience. During the webinar, you will be able to ask questions by typing them into the box above. We will answer any of these questions you may have at the end, and please take a moment of your time to look through the attachments and links. There are also a couple of multiple choice questions during this presentation. I'll handle these and relay the results for all to hear. Now to introduce Daniel. I first met Daniel Disney at our judging day, which is a prelude to our BESMA Awards. Dan is a top 50 global sales influencer and is the founder of The Daily Sales, one of the most popular sales blogs in the world today. I'll pass over to Dan now. He'll be the next voice you hear, and we hope you enjoy the webinar. Thank you. Dan, over to you.
Good morning. Thank you, Adam. Hello, everybody. Thank you for dialing in and coming to spend a bit of time with me today just to talk a bit about social selling. I've kind of been aware of the ISM for 3 years now and working quite a bit over each year, and so having the opportunity to do this webinar series with them was really exciting for me, and social is something I'm certainly very passionate about. So this is the first part of a 3-part series. This first part, we're going to cover sort of becoming the brand, so personal branding, selling you as much as your product, and what that can do for you on sort of social media platforms. So just to go quickly, sort of what I've put this webinar together with, I'm going to do a brief introduction for those that perhaps don't know me. Then we're going to go into what social selling is, what a personal brand is and why it's important, the power of selling you, how to build and also the profile, how you can build a personal brand from scratch. I'm sure there will be people on this webinar, listening, who don't have a personal brand yet. So how can you do that from a blank canvas? How can you do that from sort of the start line? How to become a thought leader, the importance of authenticity, what platforms you should use, and then finally bringing it all together to kind of create real strategies, real plans. So my aim is obviously to hopefully make you all aware of what sort of social selling is and that whole personal branding piece, but then to give you all the sort of tools and resources and information needed so you can go away and start straight away building something yourself. So to kick this off, who am I? Hopefully some of you know me, some of you may not. As Adam said, my name is Daniel Disney. I am the founder of The Daily Sales, and over the last couple of years have been able to forge a good, at least I think it's a good brand for myself as a thought leader in the sales industry, someone who people follow, they read my content, engage with me, and value the insight that I bring. So to sort of take you back, let's say 3 years, for example. 3 years ago, you probably most definitely wouldn't know me. You wouldn't have found me on social media. You wouldn't have seen any content from me. I was just a sales leader working for a company doing my job. I then started to invest time into social media platforms, predominantly LinkedIn, and over the period of those sort of 2 to 3 years, was able to create a personal brand for myself, personal brand for my company, and build something that's certainly become quite special. And what I've found, and the reason I'm here talking to you today about social selling, is that this can be done by any salesperson, any business owner, any entrepreneur who wants to create success in sales. Because what you need to sort of understand and accept that your customers, your prospects are on social media. They will be looking at you, your companies, your profile page through social media. And so there is a huge opportunity to create something quite special. You can utilize that. You can leverage it for your benefit to create leads, opportunities, to build relationships, and all these wonderful things. So to hopefully in a way justify, I want to sort of explain why I am here talking to you today and why hopefully you will benefit from my experience and insight. Over those last sort of few years, I've been able to generate lots and lots of sales opportunities. My biggest one being a £1 million sale I got, I think, three years ago, which the entire opportunity came from social media, no traditional sales practices at any point until sort of further down the process. I've built a personal brand that's now recognized globally. I use the title influencer. Some people seem to get turned off for that. I have a very large audience, so whether you like the title or not, I have influence over a large amount of people. And I think as a salesperson, if you can build an audience, it doesn't have to be, 150,000, even if you had 1,000 people where you can have an influence on that. As a sales professional, as someone within your industry, it could be the IT industry, pharmaceuticals, manufacturing, whatever you're selling into, if you can have influence around a group of people, that's a powerful tool as a sales professional, because then you can hopefully influence people to buy from you in essence. 150,000 followers, as I sort of mentioned, and growing. Social content reaches 7 million monthly, so I share content 5-6 times daily at the moment, and because of the consistency and because of the audience I have, it reaches well over 7 million people every month. Earlier this year, I wrote what is the top sales blog of this year, which was viewed over 380,000 times. I'd like to sort of emphasize that was written on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn traditionally, those sort of numbers of views are very, very rare to get, which I can sort of put the link to this webinar when it's finished. And I've been mentioned in the London Evening Standard and Winning Edge magazine, Winning Edge, the ISM's amazing magazine. So, look, all of that wonderful numbers aside, I'm very passionate about social media. I've been able to leverage it as a sales professional, as a sales leader, and sort of on a personal level with a personal brand. The things I've been able to utilize it for are fantastic. And I firmly believe that a salesperson, you have an opportunity, like I have, to create sales opportunities, to build your pipeline, to enhance the sales process, to create strong relationships with your prospects and customers, and to close more opportunities by utilizing it. So just to go through then, what is social selling? As I'm sure some of you will have different views on it. You might have read different bits of content about it, have different understandings of it. Social selling is when salespeople use social media to interact directly with their prospects. Salespeople will provide value by answering prospect questions and offering thoughtful content until the prospect is ready to buy. Quite simply, social selling is utilizing social media platforms to enhance the sales process. That would be my sort of honest definition, having done it. And to sort of give you a bit of a backstory, throughout the majority of my sales career, I'm a traditional salesperson, cold calling, telemarketing, door knocking, pitching, presenting. So I've kind of seen both sides of the coin as such. Social selling for me isn't a replacement. I'm not here to say that you should stop making cold calls and just invest your time in social media. Far, far from it. It is a tool that can be used to enhance your current sales process. So what I would deem common social selling activities include connecting and following with people. So just to be clear, there's a difference. You can connect with someone on LinkedIn, for example, where you acknowledge a full proper connection, but you can also follow people. So they don't have to accept that. That's not something you ask them to do. You can just click follow and you'll instantly be able to see all the content they put out, what sort of updates they're doing, which can be a really handy thing if you're looking to connect with a decision maker. You may not have a relationship with them, so they may be unlikely to connect with you. However, you can still follow their page and get real day-to-day live insight into what they're interested in, what content they're engaging in, what they're talking about. So when you do start to perhaps use cold calling or email or networking to create that relationship, you have the best insight possible. Social selling also includes profiles. I make a great point to sort of highlight that a lot of salespeople and business owners will spend a lot of money and time in how they look. So, for example, you might go to a networking event, you might go to a sales meeting, and you'll probably be dressed very smart. You might have a suit, a dress, nice shoes, watch, makeup, hair. You put a lot of effort into how you physically look. And the thing I'd like to emphasize is that probably the majority of salespeople don't take the same care with their social media profiles, predominantly their LinkedIn one, which is their main professional social media profile. The reality is you probably have more of your prospects and customers looking at your social profiles than you do actually seeing you face to face. Now, the question I like to ask is, if one of your prospects or customers was to look at your LinkedIn profile now, what would they think? Would it perhaps encourage them to buy from you? Or would it have the opposite effect? And I've seen real examples of salespeople that have done X amount of the sales process. It could be cold calling, whatever it may be. Then their prospect has looked at their social profiles and used that as essence to say, no, I'm not interested anymore. So it's a powerful tool. So your profile is a powerful tool when it comes to social selling. I've then got content creation and content curation. So two very different things. Curation is where you share other people's content. Creation is obviously where you create your own. Social engagement. There's something very powerful. I'm sure everyone who's listening to this now, you have a social media profile and you put out your own content, or even if you share content, how nice is it when someone likes it, or someone comments on it, or someone shares it? It's a very good feeling to have. So imagine how your prospects and customers are feeling when you engage with their content. It's a very complimentary type of thing to do, and it's a great way to kind of build relationships and to show someone that you're interested in them. Insight. So again, it's offering unique insight. We each have our own unique opinions. What I believe, what I'm passionate about, my thoughts will be very different to someone else. But that's what makes it powerful. That's, some people like it, some people don't. But it's my unique insight, and that's something that your industry, your prospects and customers will value a lot. Finally, driving traffic. So, hopefully your companies that you work for, the companies you run, will have fantastic websites. Social media is a powerful platform to direct large quantities of traffic back to your website, where they can then sort of start that process, hopefully that sales process, before becoming an opportunity. So that to me is social selling. Like I said, it's a powerful tool available to enhance the sales process. You don't have to pick up a phone book and look at these blank numbers that you've never spoken to before. You can research them. You can go onto LinkedIn and you can research the company. You can find the decision maker because you can go into all the staff that work at that company. You can then research the content they're sharing. What are they doing? What have they been up to recently? They've won an award. They've done this, whatever it may be. You can use that so when you do make contact, whether it's via the phone, whether it's through social media, you have something to talk about. You can answer a big percentage of the questions that you would look to ask if you were making a cold call. You don't need to identify the decision maker anymore because you can probably identify it through social media. You can find out their contact details. You can find out the history of the company, what they're doing. There is so much information there at hand that you save a lot of time. So when you do speak to that person, hopefully you've probably already connected with them. You've already engaged in some content. They maybe have engaged in your content. So when you have a conversation, it's not cold anymore. You've actually got a relationship. You're already a few steps into that sales process. So it's a real powerful tool to enhance that process. And here is a little doodle I do, something I've started to do recently. I've played around with lots of different forms of content, from blogs to videos to audio to actual content itself, like quotes and memes. And something I've started to do recently is hand drawings. I am a doodler. I will do I think you can look at all my previous sales books and notebooks I've had as a sales professional, sales leader, full of doodles and things like that. It helps me connect the dots as such. And this was my way of trying to draw a picture of what I think social selling is. And very much is the sort of jetpack to what can be a very slow traditional sales process. Like I said, it enhances, it turbocharges sales process, helps you take it that next step. Like I said at the start, the reality is your customers are on social, so why wouldn't you be? There's no point trying to think that every platform. There might be a lot of people on this sort of webinar that don't feel confident on social media. And here's a unique insight. I am traditionally an social media person. So I'm not someone who's lived my life through social media, forever updating various things. And actually up until I started looking at it from a professional point of view, I was very much not on social at all. You really wouldn't find many updates from me. It wasn't something I was comfortable with. But now, I pretty much live through social media. I have a big professional brand. I have a company, The Daily Sales, which is entirely social based. So for me, the click was professionalism. It was the ability to bring business into social media. As soon as I found that connection, it opened a whole new world for me. And I hope for those that perhaps are a bit hesitant about it or not sure, I hope if you can make that professional connection, you'll see a whole new world through it. this is something I've used at a lot of the keynotes I've given over the last year. And it's a nice way to put it. Would you rather fish in a pond with 2 fish or hundreds? And this is the thing, your social network, your pipeline, whatever it may be, the more opportunities you have, more fish in that pond, the more chance you have of hitting your targets, exceeding your targets. When you lose opportunities, at least you've got more there in the pipeline. There are people out there that have a mindset that, I only connect with people I know. I will not accept any connection requests of someone I've not met personally or spoken to personally, which is fine. And you will find that with some of the decision makers you target. However, my mentality, and I highly recommend this as a salesperson, but I personally will connect with anyone and everyone. That person might not directly be a customer to me, but they have an audience. And the moment that I connect with them, I have access to their audience. Because when one of my connections engages with my bits of content, it then reaches their entire audience. If someone in their audience engages with it, it reaches their entire audience. There was a fantastic tool that LinkedIn had back in the early days, 3 years ago, where it showed you on your profile, it would say, right, Joe Smith, you have 2,000 connections. But then it would use a number underneath, which would say your potential reach would probably be 500,000 people, because all of your 2,000 connections have networks, and their networks have networks. So that's the thing. You're not limited by the physical amount of connections you have. You're limited by the extended network that they reach. So for me, social media is the opportunity to fish in a much more lucrative pond than perhaps just a book of leads or a phone book or a database it may have. Social media opens you up to a much bigger opportunity. I sit here right now with a computer, and within that computer, I have access to 150,000 people that follow me. I have access to the 7 million people that my content reaches. You each have the ability to access a very large audience just through that computer screen in front of you. So let's move on to some of the key points of today's webinar. What is personal branding? Why is it important? We all should know, people buy from people. People buy from people they know, like, and trust, which makes you equally as important as the product you sell. I hear plenty of salespeople that jump into a sales pitch and it's product this and product that, features, benefits. We're so amazing. It's such a great company. It's such a great product, which is fine. You're there to sell a product. But people buy people, and they're going to buy from you. So actually, selling you is equally as important as selling the product. And this is why your personal brand has become such a big thing now, because you have profiles. I would like to believe that probably the majority, if not everyone on this webinar today, has a LinkedIn profile. It's there. So you have a personal brand. Now, what that personal brand is saying is going to be different for every one of you here, but you have one. You have a profile. You have a physical place where people can look at you. They can read your profile. They can see the content that you engage with, the content you comment on, like, the content you create or share, whatever it may be. They can see that. So that is your personal brand. Your personal brand is whatever you're putting yourself out there as. Now, before you panic, obviously, I'm sure a lot of you, you have a LinkedIn profile, which chances are will be very professional. You might use it or have used it to get a job. You might just have it as a base and you set it up but not really updated it. And chances are you'll have a lot of personal social media profiles. You'll have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it may be. I use LinkedIn and Twitter especially professionally, but my Facebook and Instagram tends to be more personal stuff. I'm aware that perhaps some of my customers and prospects may look at those profiles as well. So I always make sure that I maintain a certain tone. I don't go over a certain line, knowing that anything I put out there is for the public to see. So the reason personal brand is important is because it represents you. And I say this again, if your prospects and customers were to look at your profiles, what would they think of you? Would it enhance their ability to buy from you, or would it do the opposite? So your personal brand gives you the ability to sort of highlight recognition within your industry. It allows you to show that you are a reputable figure and someone that as a buyer, they can trust you, they can talk to you, and they can come to you for insight, because that's what your customers are looking for. You've got to remember that a lot of your customers will know what you're selling. they'll be able to find it online. They'll be able to tell most of the information about it online if they haven't done so already. So again, this is where then you become so important, because as salespeople, selling the product is now less important because our customers already know the majority of it. And if they don't, they can find it a lot quicker than having to listen or sit down with other salespeople. So being able to have a profile, being able to have a presence out there on social media that shows that people can come to you for insight, that you don't necessarily need to provide them information on the product, but you can show them how it benefits the industry. You can use your industry experience, your industry insights, your knowledge on how that product can be utilized for them as a customer is far more powerful. It can build trust. Again, if they were to go on your website, on your profile, for example, see all the great content you put out, all of the recommendations you have, it's a great source of trust. You know, my LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn profiles, you've got this great opportunity to have recommendations from your customers on there. So if someone goes onto your profile, looks down at the recommendations, they've got people within their industry telling them you're a great person to work with. It's a great tool from a competitive perspective because you have a profile, so does your competition. So keeping it, maintaining it, updating it, and making sure it's as effective as possible is a very competitive tool, because just like they'll be looking at your profiles, they'll be looking at your competitors' profiles as well. And this is a great opportunity for you. You know, the profiles of the people that I would essentially compete with, and I'd recommend you do the same, because you want to make sure your profile is the same, if not certainly far better than theirs, so that you're always that one step ahead. And that's the beauty of it. It's there to see. You don't have to mystery shop anymore. You don't have to, spy on people. It's right there. You just have to look for your competitors' companies, look at the staff that work there, find the salespeople working there, and you'll be able to see exactly how they're utilizing social media. It's your USP. Look, there is nothing more unique as a salesperson as yourself. You are the biggest USP you have to offer, you as a person. And your personal brand is a real chance to emphasize that. What makes you different? What would be the sort of weight for them to choose you over everyone else? Social media is a real good way to sort of highlight that. Your profile, the content you put out, is your way of showing that you are the difference. You are the reason people should buy from you. It's the added value. Again, your product will have features and benefits. I'm sure you'll have offers and plenty of things that you can sell, but you are equally the added value. What will you do above and beyond anyone else in that industry to serve that customer? That could be down to the relationship you're able to build, the network that you may have, the insight that you might be able to offer. All those things are real powerful tools to add value to that sale compared against some of the traditional ones, which may be price and offers and discounts, etc. And it's a great tool for customer retention. Again, you can build your network with the customers you work with. You can create communities around it. You can build long-term relationships where you're consistently offering value to them. I might connect with a customer today. I might, in a couple of days, close a sale. So I've found a customer, sold them, fantastic. But then if they're in my network, they're going to see my content every day. They're going to be a part of my community every single day. I'm going to be offering value and insight to them for the foreseeable future. As long as they're in my network, they're connected with me, they're always going to see that. So I might have already have done the business and sold them the product, but I'm going to continue to offer them value and insight, which is a great tool for retention because it's there. It's always there every day, every few days, every week. There's a reminder of me. And there's me giving them something extra. There's me giving them another blog, another questionnaire, another video, whatever it may be that offers value to them. It doesn't have to stop. So here we go. I'm going to pass you over to Adam, who's going to run this question. I'm interested to know what you think.
Fantastic. So this is the first question, guys. What percentage of B2 buyers start their buying journey online? 28%, 44%, 69%, or 92%. I'll launch that now. I'll give you guys about 5 seconds, that's awful. 10, 20 seconds to answer that, and then we'll close the voting and pass it back to Daniel for the results. So what percentage of B2B buyers start their buying journey online? 28%, 44%, 69%, or 92%? Give you a couple more seconds, I'll close this off. Okay, Daniel, we've just had a look at it. It's pretty even, but can you see those? So 44% said B. Actually, no, 38% said B. I'm reading it wrong. 25% said C, and 40% said D. So it's pretty even. No one really said A at all.
That's good, because that would probably be quite worrying if they thought it was that small a number. But very interesting. So quite an even split, 44%, 69%, 92%. Well, I can reveal that the amount of B2B buyers that start their buying journey online was actually very recently reported to be 92%, so D. 92%, how big of that is a majority of people to be starting their sales process online? It's a powerful number, and it's kind of what makes me really realize that social is such a powerful tool, because that's where your customers are starting their journeys. Sometimes before they even speak to you, before they've even come into your radar, they've probably already been online. They've looked at the various products out there, the companies. They've looked at all the content out there. They've consumed information. That information could be yours. It could be your blogs that they're consuming. It could be your content that you're providing that they find before they even start their proper sales process. So it's a powerful number, and it's, again, a thing to realize that probably 5 years ago, and there probably is a number to this, that number would have been a lot less. 10 years ago, probably non-existent. So this is where the landscape is changing. It doesn't mean the processes are changing. It doesn't mean there's mass change. It just means the landscape's changing. The environment of which we're selling in as a sales professional is changing. And now we have this reality that the majority of your customers will be starting their buying process and journey online. And so that's something to really take note of. So here we go. The power of selling you. If you want to sell anything, sell yourself first. Like I said, you are the difference. And this is the thing. We've already sort of discussed how, people buy from people. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. Social is the opportunity to show yourself as a human. As a salesperson, if you're reading a script on the phone, if you're cold calling, if you're going to a meeting or your networking event, it's very easy to become a robot. You're spieling off a script, or you're doing your elevator pitch, or you're trying to make your company and your product sound amazing, and it becomes salesy. It becomes robotic. You have the opportunity to show that you're a human being, that you are a real person with honest opinions, and this is probably one of the biggest things that I find interesting on social media, is that a lot of salespeople and businesses out there utilize social media not to show that they're a human, but almost the opposite. And a lot of the content that I see isn't about them, thoughts, their opinions, their values. It's just about the products. Again, it's about the businesses. It's, here's an offer, or here's why our company's so amazing, or check out these testimonials. People don't want to read that. Not yet. They will at some point, I'm sure. But certainly that's not the bait that's going to attract them. So this is the thing. Show that you're human. Be you. Put out content that you like, that you enjoy. If you're working in pharmaceuticals, look for the various pharmaceutical news engines that are out there putting out content. Could be the BBC. They'll most, likely have a page around the pharmaceutical news. Look for content that offers value and insight. Nothing about you. It doesn't have to be about your product or you, but it just shows that you're a human being, that you have an interest in that industry. And then offer your own knowledge and insight. So add an opinion. So I might share an article today about the sales profession. It could be written by Forbes or Inc., whatever it may be. But then I'll add a comment at the box and put my opinion on it. I think this is a fantastic article. Here's what I found really interesting about it. It shows that I'm a human being. It shows perhaps a bit of my knowledge and a bit of insight into what I think about it. Now, what you then have is the opportunity to connect with people. So I'll give you a real story here. This was about 2.5 years ago. I had tried the prospect company on my radar. I'd tried most avenues. I tried cold calling them, finding them at networking events, email, these various things, all with dead ends. I was unable to get anywhere with those sort of processes. Now, not connected, I wasn't doing this consciously thinking it was going to help me get an opportunity with them, but on the side of it, I was writing blogs. And a blog I wrote that week, I put out, it was a sales blog, one of their salespeople liked it. And I noticed this. You're able to see these things on the metrics. So I reached out to that salesperson and just said, oh, thank you for liking this blog. What did you like about it? And started a conversation. Nothing to do with my product, nothing to do with my company. Started a nice open conversation. After a few messages, I then utilized that opportunity to say, well, funnily enough, I've been trying to get in touch with your company. I'd love to speak to someone about this. They made the introduction. The meeting was booked. Meeting was had. A couple of weeks later, customer was won. And that was the power of a simple blog, a blog that was written by me, very much a human blog, nothing corporate, just my opinions, my thoughts, my insights. But it allowed me to connect with someone different within that company, probably someone I wouldn't have leveraged before. But it was a door that was, opened and allowed me to create a sales opportunity from that. Again, you enhance your product by you being the difference. So by selling yourself, you are as much a part of the offering as your product is. So it's an opportunity to enhance what you're selling, because I can imagine for a lot of people, you're selling similar things to your competition. So if you're selling a toolbox, for example, there might be different variations of that toolbox, but ultimately it's a toolbox. You get to be the difference. You get to be the thing that really enhances that product by being the person that actually understands, why do they need a toolbox? What do they need it for? What are their short-term, medium-term, long-term goals of having that toolbox? You get to be the difference where other competitors might not make that effort. Again, being long-term relationships, by being that human, some of the best salespeople I buy from personally, are the ones that I engage with on social media, whether it's, tagging them in content or sending content to them. It's that type of friendly / professional relationship that, you can maintain for years. And again, it's the trust bit. It's the trust that you are a credible source to buy from. So here we go. We sort of established, the importance of personal branding, why you are a brand, whether you like it or not. You are a brand that's out there, and that's something that you should sort of really grasp and embrace. There's a lot to be had about, you being the value you offer and how you can utilize social media for that. So here's, one of the best places to start, and actually probably the single best place to start, how to build an awesome social profile. I've included a link at the bottom of this page. It was a blog I wrote, I think last month, on how to create the ultimate LinkedIn profile. Now, there are lots of different platforms out there. LinkedIn is the single biggest and best professional platform for salespeople, but there are others that you can utilize as well. I focused on LinkedIn. It's definitely the best place to start. Question I've asked several times on this webinar already: if your prospect looked at your social profile right now, would they want to buy from you? And that's something I want you all to think about. Would they buy from you? What does your profile tell them? And here's the reality. People use LinkedIn for different things, and your profile might be more of an online CV than something that sort of highlights a personal brand. It might be something you use to get the job you're in right now, and perhaps you haven't updated it. So here's the thing. Look at it from your customer's perspective. Think about if you were to look at it as a buyer, what would you want to see? Would you want to see a list of all your wonderful jobs that you've done, or would you want it to really emphasize the value you can offer them and the recommendations you have? There's a lot you can do with your profile to make sure it suits the buyer and less yourself. So here are some of the key things. And look, these are real simple, basic things. I reckon you could each spend 15 minutes on your profile today and make it 10 times better, if it's not fantastic already. Professional photo is key. This doesn't mean you have to go and book a professional photographer and spend hundreds of pounds on getting one done. The profile photo I have on my page at the moment was one a colleague of mine took a couple of years ago in the office on their phone. Nice and easy. It's the beauty of technology today. We have pretty, very smart cameras in our pockets. So again, if you're all in the office today, I'm sure a large percentage of you will be, you can stand up against a blank wall or even just against your office, have a nice picture taken, it's done. And it might be a little bit better than perhaps the wedding photograph you might be using, or even a casual photograph that you've used. It's the first thing they see. So your title, a lot of people will just have sales professional at Joe Blogg's company. Whereas actually you can utilize it to really highlight what you offer. So you could put, passionate about the pharmaceutical industry or connecting customers with pharmaceutical solutions. Something that sort of really highlights what you offer them. Because again, it's that elevator pitch. It's the thing they're going to see first. They're going to see a picture. They're going to see that title. What's going to make them want to click on it and look deeper into it. So having a great title, but equally the summary. So the first bit you've got, doesn't have to be about you, but what can you offer people? Why should they want to talk to you? There's a background as well behind your photo on LinkedIn. And again, you can Google and find free images that you can use for that, nice and plain. Or there's a great website called Canva, C-A-N-V-A. And Canva is a fantastic tool for creating free content again. And they actually have a LinkedIn background section, which has preset options that you can then customize. So again, if you go to my profile, either during or after this, that was created on Canva. And it's nice, it's professional, it's got some information about me that I've added in there. Really easy to do. Wouldn't take you more than 5 minutes, but it will enhance your profile so much. And you may have company ones. It may be worth looking at your marketing team to see if you have something that's a bit more branded for your company. Again, you want people to feel that they can trust and buy from not just you as a person, but your business as well. Media and content. So again, you have the opportunity to add in media. It could be ebooks, it could be PDFs, it could be links, videos. Again, it enhances that profile. Up-to-date information, again, just make sure you keep it up to date. Show your value, again, offer as much as you can within your profile to the people that read it. Endorsements and recommendations, again, you can show real-life people that are endorsing and recommending you as a professional. It's a fantastic tool. And again, your customers will be looking at these. And they're a great thing. Some people write these amazing things. And don't just wait for people to put them on. Ask for it. Don't feel bad to ask for people, for recommendations. Ask your customers that you're working with now. Ask them to sort of come to you and write it. Offer to do the same back to them. Doesn't have to be an awkward thing, but just one or two of those can have a huge impact on your profile. So again, do check out the blog. The blog goes into a little bit more detail. I think it has Canva. Hopefully it will help. Again, it's the best place to start. Having a solid profile, that's the foundations. That's where all your customers will be looking. It's a great place to start, which you can then build on. And like I said, that is your personal brand. Also, here we go. We're going into the next question, so I'll pass over to Adam to go through this one.
Hi guys. Second question is, how many people do you think there are on LinkedIn right now? 350. I nearly said 352,000. 352 million, 467 million, 500 million, or 750 million. So what I'll do is I will launch that now and give you about 20 seconds to answer like last time, and then relay the results back to Daniel. So how many people do you think are on LinkedIn right now? A, B, C, or D? Please vote. Okay, first results are coming in. I'll give you guys another 5-10 seconds. Okay, so results were 29% said B, 57% said C, and 14% said D. Daniel.
A very interesting response, and it sort of highlights that I think the audience were on the money on this one. So here's a unique insight. Facebook have 2 billion profiles, 2 billion people using it. But you were right, the majority of you were right. LinkedIn has 500 million people on it right now. How powerful is that? So you sit there with your profile, you sit behind a screen, and you potentially have access to 500 million people. And let's go back to that image of the 2 ponds. You're no longer limited to the 100 leads you might have or the amount of data you have on your sort of Excel spreadsheet. You literally have access to 500 million people. Any company you could possibly want to sell into, the staff that work there, they're right there at your fingertips. It blows my mind. It's a massive opportunity that salespeople have. So there we go. Let's move on. So here you go, how to build a personal brand from scratch. And again, there may be some of you, a lot of you, who don't have a personal brand yet, bar perhaps a profile that you've not perhaps maintained or utilized. So here we go, how to build it from scratch. Again, profile is the place to start. Build up a solid profile. And here's the takeaway for today. Do spend some time today, this week. Spend it on your profile. Make it up to date. Try and fill as much of it as you can. Have the background, have the good photo, have the title, the summary. Really invest a bit of time into it because it's the best place to start. Once you've done that, then you can start to grow your network. Something that I sort of picked up on about 3 years ago, I really started my social journey, was someone that sort of said, best thing you can do is just grow your network every single day. It could be 5 new connections, it could be 10, 20, whatever it would be. Do it every single day. And it's the same concept of climbing a mountain. You take each step as it comes. You know, you might be sat there and looking at someone who's got lots and lots of followers and thinking, oh, that's going to take forever. But unless you take each step, you know, I have 150,000 followers now. There was a day when I had 0. There was a time when I had none of that. And the prospect of, you know, to anything of that size seemed miles and miles away. But just by doing something every single day, as time passes, you get there. So every single day, have time set by where you grow your network. You look and connect with people in the industry. You look and network with people. Grow it every single day. Share good content. Again, your personal brand is judged on the content you share. So whatever content you put out there, it's what your personal brand is. If you put out loads of offensive stuff, then that's what people are going to think of you. But if you put lots of insightful stuff, again, that's what people will think of you. So, you know, like they say, you are what you eat. On equal measure in social, you are what you share. So share good content. Share content that will make people look at you as a trusted resource. And again, share it consistently. Create good content. So here's the thing. Not everyone's going to be good or comfortable creating content. It might not be natural to you. For me, fortunately, it was, but I fully identify there are going to be people out there that aren't natural content creators, in which case, find people who are. There will be people in your team, in your company, that will be good at creating good content. So if it's not you, find someone who can create good content, but you want to be able to put out some content that is your own, that is your voice. It might be written by someone else, but show that you are, again, that trusted resource. Join groups. Your groups aren't as big as they used to be, but they're still utilized. Facebook especially, there's a lot of professional Facebook groups out there. There's LinkedIn groups. Again, get your name in there. Don't look at it that you're going to try and create sales opportunities from it. Just look at it as immersing yourself in the industry you work in. Put your name out there. The more groups you're in, the more your name gets out there, the more people will see, again, that you are invested in that industry. Engage with content. Here's the other good thing. You know, you might have, it could be your competitors, it could be your colleagues, it could be neutral parties in the industry. But by engaging in it, by liking it, by on it, you're adding your opinion. Again, you're showing your insight, your unique view on that. And it's a great thing because your customers will see it. If they're following those pages, the customers that are following them will see that, oh, look, there's Joe from company X, and he's right. That's quite a good point, actually. I like that. You know, you're building the foundations of the sales relationship. A key thing, and I can imagine, I get a lot of people say to me, I don't have time. I don't have time to do social. I'm too busy selling. I'm too busy managing my pipeline. I'm too busy cold calling, doing all these things. I do have time to spend hours on social media. We don't have to. You don't have to spend hours. You just need to set some clear times and very clear on what you want to achieve. You know, you might spend 15 minutes growing your network every day, and you might get 10, 15, 20 connections in that. You know, over 10 days, that could be 100 to 200 new connections, only from 15 minutes a day. Sharing content doesn't have to take long. You know, Googling or going on various news feeds. I mean, you can have these news feeds emailed directly to you. You can subscribe to so many great channels that literally email you great content. All you have to do is look at it, read it, and share it. They'll have the buttons there for you and everything. Create a tone for you. And again, like I said, you are what you share. So make sure the tone you create is the one that you want your customers to think. I know a great person who also does some work with the ISM, a guy called Steve Burton. He has a very honest tone. But people like that. You know, it's different, but it's honest. People will buy from him because of that honesty. So moving on, I'm going to try and move through a little bit quicker as time is passing. Becoming a thought leader is an interesting one, and there are plenty of people who dislike the term thought leader or the concept of a thought leader, and those that do like it. Again, there's nothing wrong with being viewed as someone who has a valued opinion, and that's what I would thought leader as, someone that people can look to because they value and appreciate your opinion. So thought leaders are the informed opinion leaders and the go-to people of their field and expertise. So as a salesperson, why would you not want to be that? Why wouldn't you want to be the go-to person in your field? It's a fantastic opportunity for your customers to approach you because they value you. They value your insight because if they trust you to that extent, it'd be easy to sell to them because they trust you. You've already built that level of trust. So how do you achieve that? Again, engage in debate and content. If you're engaging in content and engaging in debate, and I highlight this on the third point, try and keep it positive over negative. That doesn't mean argue and start to put people down. And again, try and keep it positive over the negative. There are a lot of trolls on social media. People don't really take well to that. So try and be the person who encourages it. But engage in debate and content. Create content. So again, create your own content that offers insight. I did a blog years ago. I predominantly write about sales, but I did a blog about Apple, and I just wrote about the history of Apple. Again, for an industry, that was a very valuable piece of content. So create content. Be honest. Don't be something you're not. Always be yourself. Again, you want to have your unique voice. Have an opinion. Again, keep it positive over negative. Lead with passion. As I hope you can all hear from this webinar, I'm very passionate about selling. I'm very passionate about social. And again, I would hope when you're trying to sell something, you've got to be equally passionate about that. So make sure your content puts the message out there that you are passionate about it. Ensure there is a purpose. So again, don't just put content for the sake of content. It needs to have a purpose. It needs to offer a value. And be yourself. You are the product. You are the brand. You essentially want to be the thought leader. So be yourself. People will buy into it. And again, ties in very nicely the importance of authenticity. I love this quote. Be yourself. Everyone else is taken. People buy from people. They want to buy from you. Make yourself the difference so that when your competitors approach them, they're not interested because they want to buy from you. So don't be something you're not. Don't try and be some sort of celebrity or whatever it may be. Just be yourself. Consistency is probably one of the biggest secrets of social success. So many people might go away and spend 15 minutes doing their profile and then not touch it for 2 weeks. You need to be looking at it on a daily, maybe every 2-day type of basis. Stick to your beliefs. Don't be scared to be pushed around. Be honest. Doesn't have to mean you have to be negative or aggressive, but just be honest. Stick to what you believe. Don't be scared to challenge people. Again, don't put people down, but feel comfortable to sort of say, do you know what? I don't agree with that, but this is why. And create healthy, positive debate. Admit when you're wrong. There is nothing wrong with putting your hands up and saying, do you know what? You were right, actually. I appreciate that. Again, positive over negative. Have good intentions. Make sure your intentions are always to provide value. You're not trying to sell something. You're not trying to be a salesperson. You're trying to offer value. And again, give over take. So give before you ask to take something back. That's the beauty of social. You're giving content out, building a relationship. So when you do ask for the sale at some point, you've already given them so much. So what platform should you use? LinkedIn, the ultimate professional network. Again, it is the best place to start and probably will be the foundation of most social selling success. Twitter, again, it is a great platform. It's professional, has a bit of a casual hint to it, but you get so many people that are very much invested in Twitter. Facebook, again, a bit more casual than professional, but we're starting to see a lot more professional groups come through there. Instagram's a bit open. You get some professional companies and industries that work well on Instagram, others that don't. The best advice I can give is use all of them. Don't choose one or the other. Don't invest heavily in one more than the other. Utilize all of them. Find the tone and try and invest a bit of time into each one because each one has the opportunity to deliver you opportunities. Right, so the last quick question, I think there's only a couple more slides after this. I'll let Adam take the lead.
Fantastic. So this is the last question, guys. What percentage of sales people beat their peers when utilizing social media in the sales process? 24%, 45%, 61%, and 78%. So what I'll do is I'll launch that now. and if you guys can let me know, give you about 20 seconds. Webinar's going to be finishing soon. There are some questions that people have asked. It's over to Daniel which one he wants to answer. Any we miss, Daniel will answer at the end when the webinar finishes. So with regards to this question, what percentage of salespeople beat their peers when utilizing social media in the sales process? A, 24%, B, 45%, C, 61%, or D, 78%. I'll close it off in, well, now already. Here we go. Daniel. We've had 27% say, 24% say A, sorry, 45% say B. Actually, I've read that wrong completely, haven't I? 27% said A, 9% have said B, 36% have said C, and 27% said D.
Another bit more of an evenly split vote.
I need to read these results quicker, don't I? Over to you.
I can reveal that the percentage of salespeople that beat their peers when utilizing social media is actually reported at 78%. 78%, again, a large majority of salespeople that utilize social are beating their peers that don't. And, you know, these are powerful numbers. I haven't made these up. They do have credible sources in the background, but it's an insight that, you know, if you're able to utilize these tools to enhance the process, you're going to do better from it. Oh, there you go. There wasn't any more slides. Apologies. We're down at the questions part. So I believe quite a few of you have written some questions in the box, which I thought it was a bit easier for me to kind of deliver the talk, and I will go through the questions at the end. Please add any more that you have, and I will sit and answer them all sort of following this webinar. But just to sort of close this off and tie it all together, yeah, this is a 3-part series, so please do subscribe to the other 2. They're coming up over the next few weeks, and they will sort of go into the whole content piece that we started to touch upon today, and you know, how to really leverage it into sales strategies that you can use every day. But today, as I've mentioned, the best place to start is your profile, it's your personal brand, it's spending a bit of time making yourself an equal value to the products that you're selling. So spend some time on your profile, start to grow your network, and start to look into content. So content is blogs, it's articles, it's videos, it's audio, podcasts, it's images, quotes, whatever it may be. That's all classed as content. So start to spend a bit of time looking at the content that's floating around your industry and start to share it, engage it, and eventually, when you feel comfortable, if you do, practice to create some content. So start to have a little play. You know, I've written 181 sales blogs over the last 2 years. The first one I wrote was horrendous when I look back at it. It is nothing like the blogs I write today, but it's because I've learned over time. So the best place to do is start to practice. You'll make mistakes. I've made plenty myself, but just start to have a bit of a play around. Get yourself out there. It's a great tool. So please, I hope you've enjoyed the webinar today. I will go through the questions at the end, and hopefully I'll look forward to seeing some of you on the next webinar. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, Daniel, thank you very much for taking the time out to deliver this webinar for us. It is the first part of 3 webinars that he is actually delivering for us. The second one, as you can see, is on the 7th of November, so please register that. There's also some attachments. And yes, there are some questions, but we have records of these, and once the webinar finishes in a few moments, I'll pass those questions on to Daniel, and Daniel can get back to you on an individual basis. But thank you very much, everyone, for taking the time to take part in this webinar with us today. Daniel?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.